dad, we finally got an actual diagnosis or a confirmed diagnosis for him. And so he has something called progressive supranuclear palsy.
Hmm.
And so PSP, and it is a rare degenerative brain disorder that kind of
Hmm.
sits at the intersection of like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, but it's
Hmm.
neither of those things, but it
Wow.
mimics symptoms of both. And so he has some shakiness like Parkinson's. He has some other kind of features of Parkinson's. He's got the short-term memory issues and all of that, very similar to Alzheimer's. But through MRI scans and all of that, they have ruled both of those out, and it's this PSP. So now, at least with a diagnosis, we can kind of figure out um, what the treatment is and what that looks like and all of that kind of stuff. There is no cure for it, so really it's about managing it. The other thing is that typically it manifests in people's 50s or 60s.
Hmm.
So at 89, my dad is already like,
Wow.
not typical.
Hmm.
But the scans and the tests that they've done so far seem to confirm it. So the hope is that those symptoms that are typically associated with it as they progress will also be somewhat delayed. And the reality is that the really bad symptoms happen, somewhere with 7 to 10 years
Hmm.
after onset, and 7 to 10 years from 89. I mean, we don't know if he would be here or not anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so that's where we are with that. But he's getting worse, and
Hmm.
that's really, really clear. He knows who we all are, so that's good. Like none of that has like left, but
Hmm.
he'll get other like he had a conversation with me the other night, and he still, I think, thinks I live in Virginia, right?
Hmm.
And remembers more of me from there. And
Hmm.
so, I was leaving the house the other night, and he's like, "You have to go back so soon? Why don't you stay the night and then you could, that's a long drive, right? Hit the road tomorrow, right?" Like that kind of
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
And so in any case, that's that. And my mother, who of course does a lot of that, the day-to-day care or whatever, she is having back surgery on May 15th. And we have found that her bones are, they did the bone density scan, and there's not enough strength in
Hmm.
her bones to do what they need to do for the surgery.
Hmm.
So hence the shots that I'm gonna, go give her as soon as I finish, and I'll move to cell phone. Um, so we're going to manage that, and that means for 4 weeks or so, she's going to be out. The kids, my sister and brother and I have already been paying for somebody to come in several times a week to care for them. And sadly, she is quitting because her back is starting to bother her. So we
Oh,
got to find
yeah.
somebody else. So it's
Yeah.
all of that, right?
Hmm.
So just kind of managing that.
Yeah.
And then I decided, I don't want to be like, I had a cousin who was also caring for his parents and kind of neglecting his own health that ended up with some pretty severe health things. And I was like, let me just go, like, see. And what do you know? I did my OB, whatever it is, and they found fibroids,
Hmm.
which, fibroids, one is the size of a large grapefruit or small watermelon, one is the size of a large orange, one is the size of a lime.
Hmm.
So I can decide if I want to just watch them or if I
Hmm.
want to have a hysterectomy.
Hmm.
So, I'm just like, seriously, what's next? What's next?
Hmm.
And so, and for me, I'm not really an alarmist. So, fibroids are fibroids, and lots of people have hysterectomies and all that. It's more the timing and, you know what I mean, just what's happening, right? And if I do it now and I need my physical strength for my dad or for my mom, I won't have it for, whatever that recovery time is, right? And then
Mm,
for something so large, and it's been growing, which is part of the reason why I went, because I could feel it, you know what I mean?
mhm,
Right now, they say that my belly, and I'm pretty small right now,
mhm.
my belly is the equivalent of 14 to 16 weeks pregnant, or
Wow.
yeah, 14 to 16 weeks pregnant, and that it could continue to grow. And
Wow.
they said usually the uterus is like less than a quarter of a pound, right? They measure it in grams. And between the fibroids and my uterus, which is enlarged, they estimate it's 5 to 8 pounds. That's a lot,
Mm. Yeah.
right? So just trying to think, yeah, what and then when. And then the
Mm.
last thing I'll say about that is I really envisioned leaving this planet with all my original parts. And I
Mhm.
think I'm having more issue with
Mhm.
that as a value
Mhm.
than the, actual procedure is a procedure like any other.
Mhm.
Um, so that's it. And then on May 5th, I go do my colonoscopy, and I'm like, you know what? They better not tell me anything other than it's clear because I got too much going on, man. Oh my God. Oh, that's my life right now. That's my world right now. And I'm going to a conference at the end of May, so nothing's going to happen before that conference. I'm going to go to that conference and have a good time. And the 21st through the 24th, and then I'll deal with whatever comes after that.
I think you got to my kind of direction around like you have a lifetime, I'm sure, of hearing people's fibroid stories. What is your bottom line? And I think I just heard it. I want to leave with my original parts.
I really do. But and of course, I'm a researcher, so I start researching right away. And the all many of the other procedures that would leave the uterus intact um, seem to actually be more invasive than a hysterectomy. And then the other piece of that is there's a myomectomy where they would just take the fibroids. But what I've read is that if those fibroids have precancerous cells and they, cut them open in order to get very large fibroids out, then you expose your entire system to cancer. Not interested in that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
so, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Mm.
We'll see.
Bree Wilson, and thank you for doing such a great job caring for your dad. Like, I'm assuming there are tons of people who have this special problem and they don't know. Like, they get diagnosed as misdiagnosed. So I'm so glad he has a correct diagnosis.
Ugh, me too.
We just need that same level of care for you as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important. I did vow with a couple of folks to check in a little more regularly. And that's going to be important because, and I don't say this to be like, woe is me or alarmist or whatever, but the reality is if I drop dead today, if I drop dead after this call, nobody would look for me until Friday. And not because people don't care or any of that, but I don't have a pattern of talking to people a lot during the week, right? I'm busy, I'm getting stuff done. They know if they text me, I'll text back and I'll take care of stuff,
Mhm.
but I'm not one that's gonna, you know what I mean? If they didn't
Mhm.
hear from me, they would be like, huh, she usually calls me back, she'll call me back, right?
Mhm.
And
So you're
that's,
changing that.
yeah, that's problematic. Yeah.
Yeah.
the only thing that's coming to me, Joelle, is that I'm receiving what you shared, and I just have some dua for you, some prayers.
Mm,
Like,
thank you.
and I know you are a believing person, and you are going to find out what you need to find out when you need to find out. And I know you're going to trust whatever decision you make is going to be made with wisdom and trust and guidance from your Lord.
That is a fact. Thank
Mm.
you.
So I am thinking, wow, what kind of timing? I talked about divine timing in a positive way, and now divine timing has stacked up so many things that are not positive, that would that would have most
The
people,
test.
right? Like not out of the bed, not looking fabulous, not articulating complex, it would just take you. And so um first let's just recognize that you're here and you're in your now. Like this you and this now, before you told us all of this to after, like how amazing that we can function in our bodies and our mind given everything that you're seeing. So that's worth recognition, I do believe.
Mm. Yes.
I'm gonna skip to the last thing because there was much in the middle, but I really resonate with what you say about no one would know. And it's not because you don't have people, it's not that story, but you have established a life of um, self-confidence, and you have your life set the way you want. And so that means that you know where people are in your life, but they don't know where you are necessarily at all times. And I really resonate with that because I'm that friend that will call you and say, oh, I forgot to tell you I'm going to Africa next month, because I am, like
Mhm.
I'm that person. So you have given me something in this, because as much as I love to be free form and go around the world, and I'll tell this to Filson, like I do have that same concern. Like if something happens, Filson will know, but it might be a day, it may be longer. So thank you for that lesson. So you've educated me to make that adjustment in my life as soon as possible. And then I want to ask you, who is your person? You and your brothers and sister are your dad's person, your mom's person. Who's going to be your person? That person who knows what you're saying when you're not saying anything, and who's there as much as you want them there. Do you have that person?
It's a good question. And no, I don't have a person. And so, which has been part of my reflection. Several people in my circle, in my age group, and, folks that grew up together and all of that have died over the last few years, few years. And most very unexpectedly.
Mm.
And with the exception of one who died in a car crash, the rest, there was somebody there,
Mm.
right, that discovered them, right? Sadly, a child or a mother or whatever the case is. And it was this thing of they're not waking up, like, let me go check on them, right? I live by design in solitude, right? And I
Mm.
love
Mhm.
that. So I don't have a person. Now, my son in some ways, but like he has his
Yeah.
own life, right? And I
Mhm.
don't want him focused on me. He needs to be focused on Rue. My sister is as busy as I am, so she'll check on me, but like that's not going to be my person. So I don't know. I don't have a person. Um,
Yes.
and I'm private anyway, so that's a little bit tough for me. So I have to identify a person.
I want to back that up as a good idea. The person I trust most is this woman, Mary. She said everybody needs one person they tell everything to. And I
Yeah.
haven't any doubt that that's true. All right, we are on our next 2-minute break.
All right.
Show my Taskmaster skills.